Hello there, Di here. I've been making some cards from tea bag filters that I've dried and emptied, and these have been in my head for quite a while now. You know, you see these videos and things sort of tuck themselves away in your head. So at last I got in and didn't have anything else more pressing, and while I was waiting for some glue to arrive, I got out the tea bags, dried them, opened them up, emptied them, and here I am just adding a bit of colour and some design to some of them, so I can use them as card fronts. And it was quite an interesting exercise. At first I wasn't too sure what I should use to draw on the fabric. It's very frail. I tried to use pen and ink, but I really didn't have, I only had black ink and it was too dark. So I found my Stampin' Up! Markers were the best to draw some lines, draw some designs, that sort of thing, using the fine tip. And then I just go in with my cheapo watercolours, the little tablets, and add some colour. And this is just one of the cards where you can see I've done some leaves and some flowers. This was one of the last ones I made. Just adding some colour to those. It's quite interesting. You can draw quite lightly on the filter paper. There it is, completed. And then you can go in afterwards and accentuate some of the lines. Here's two that I already put some lines onto, and you can see they're just sort of linear, following the lines of the marking. And that's the pen that I use. It's an old Stampin' Up! Marker. And really need very little colour. It's quite interesting. Little water and little colour, and it goes a long way. And it's quite soft, and yet it's definite. It's quite odd the way the filter paper reacts with the colour. And it does bleed a little, but in the scheme of things, that's just the nature of the beast. I quite like these more linear, geometric, abstract sorts of designs. They were my favourite rather than the ones that had floral images or leaves on them. I found it was easiest to put it on a piece of folded copy paper because it's very the water just goes straight through it, the colour goes straight through it, so it's good to have something underneath to absorb it. And the markers were water-based, and so they tend to wash away. So if you're adding colour and they're in the wrong place, they just wash away. Or if you want them to stay, you can go in and reinforce them at the finish, which is quite a useful habit. I really enjoyed doing these. I thought it was odd when I first saw it. I said in the last video that I'd put an iCard into the video, but then I didn't realise the limitations of the iCard function, and I wasn't able to add it because it wasn't one of my own videos. It was an external link. So this time I shall put the details of where I saw the couple of videos that kind of inspired me to attempt this. I'll put them into the description box so that if anyone's interested they can go and take a look. One was quite an interesting project in South Africa, looking at ways where people could make some money. So it was a sort of a cooperative for people with low incomes to get together and make some artwork, I think for tourists mainly, and it was really interesting. It was an interesting documentary. So I've ended up with a few cards, which is great. I'm getting down on my stash a little, so these are quite different to what I normally do, so I think that's always a good thing for me. So it really was playtime. It was just fiddling about and seeing how you can add colour. The colour washes out well. As you can see here, I'm just adding some water and washing that out, and it dries beautifully into quite a washy sort of look. Now I'm just going through with a bit of scrap paper underneath, adding some gold splatters. I added ink and some gold and also a little bit of just gloss, I think it is, or gleam, I'm not sure what it is, but it's just a fairly clear, and that was interesting too because it picks up the colour from the paint that's underneath. Being so light, these dry very easily. There I'm just adding the the gleam to the centre of those flowers. Where there was a hole in the tea bag, the basic fabric, I made a virtue of it, and with a little bit of adhesive underneath, and dabbed on some gold flakes just to accentuate the fact that there was a little gap there, and it looks quite good. Adding some splatters, some goldy splatters. And there's the black ink. I've got that in a little fine liner that was too fine for the matte medium. Works well for ink. But here I'm just applying it with the brush because little fan brushes are great for splattering. Here I'm going over, I've got them adhered onto the mat. The adhesive proved a bit of a problem. I wasn't sure, and I tried a few different things. I didn't want to use wet adhesive because I knew that would alter the surface and seep through. So I tried double-sided tape, which was fine as long as it was just around the very edge. Some of them, or one of them in particular, I think it was my favourite, I added it across the whole of the back, but unfortunately you can see the lines where the adhesive is. But spray adhesive worked perfectly. So I've got those all matted, and I used old book pages, the fly leaves, or bits I'd taken out of recycled books, and I've used up some of those. It's usually nice paper, so I was glad to use those up. There I was just accentuating some of those lines and adding to them. And there you can see all the remaining tea bags and how heavily stained they are. These were just a strong black tea, so they're quite heavily stained. And there's one with the holes, and I'm just showing you there where the holes are. I got out the gold leaf and added that. And there's one of the cards, or the little bookmark. There it is. The gold leaf just adds to it. And we're getting into the cards now. Individual card photos at the end here. So you can see the different designs. And as I said, I prefer the abstracty ones to the more floral ones, but they're all quite cute. I was quite pleased that I'd tried it. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll talk to you real soon with the next video. Bye for now.